In the afterglow of the 4th of July, our spirits were high, and the night was ours. The fireworks had been a spectacle, painting the sky in bursts of color that reflected in our wide, eager eyes. There were 5 of us then, bound by the kind of friendship that felt like it could withstand anything the world threw our way. As the last embers of the fireworks faded into the night, an idea sparked among us, fueled by the adrenaline of youth and the thrill of adventure. We should explore that unfinished house in the new neighborhood, Alex suggested, his voice tinged with mischief. The house, a skeleton of beams and promises, stood isolated, a shadowy figure against the night sky. It was an invitation we couldn't resist. With 2 of our friends opting out, claiming exhaustion, the bravest, or perhaps the most foolish among us, decided to venture forth. Alex, Jamie, and I, armed with nothing but our phones for light, set out into the night, our hearts racing with anticipation and an unspoken fear of the unknown. As we approached the house, its unfinished walls loomed over us, the moon casting eerie shadows through the skeletal frame. We used our phones sparingly, the dim light slicing through the darkness, revealing the house's bare interior. The air was thick with the scent of sawdust and the subtle hint of something else, something off. We ventured inside, our steps hesitant on the unfinished floors. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of our movements. It wasn't long before we heard it, the first sign that we were not alone. A soft thud from the floor above, like the sound of a footstep. We froze, the 3 of us exchanging wide-eyed looks that spoke volumes of our shared fear. "Did you hear that?" Jamie whispered, her voice barely audible. We nodded, our throats tight with apprehension, yet driven by a mixture of curiosity and the bravado that comes with youth. We pressed on, moving towards the staircase that led to the 2nd floor. The thuds continued, growing louder, closer, as if someone, or something, was pacing. As we reached the top of the stairs, a chill ran down my spine. There, in the dim light of our phones, we saw it, a figure moving at the end of the hallway. It was too quick, too fleeting to make out any details, but it was undeniably there. A presence in the house with us. Panic set in, and Jamie suggested we leave. But Alex, ever the thrill seeker, insisted we press on. He argued that it could be a homeless person or some kids playing a prank. His words were meant to reassure, but they did little to quell the knot of fear in my stomach. We continued to explore, moving with more caution now. The house seemed to groan around us, as if protesting our presence. Then the unmistakable sound of metal clanging echoed through the house, pipes being deliberately knocked over. "This isn't right," I muttered, my voice trembling. "We should go." Before we could turn back, the sounds intensified, a cacophony of knocks and bangs, surrounding us, closing in. It was as if the house itself was alive, angry, and wanting us out. We didn't need any further convincing. Turning on our heels, we rushed towards the staircase, our only thought to escape the nightmare the night had turned into. That's when we saw it, a large, dark figure at the bottom of the stairs, blocking our only exit. My heart stopped. This was no prank, no homeless person seeking shelter. The figure was too big, too menacing, and it stood perfectly still, as if waiting for us. Alex, in a moment of reckless bravery or folly, stepped forward, his phone held out like a shield. "Who are you? What do you want?" he demanded, his voice echoing in the silent house. The figure didn't respond, didn't move. It just stood there, an impenetrable shadow. Then, without warning, it shifted, a subtle movement, but enough to send us scrambling back. We retreated, finding another way down, a precarious descent through unfinished rooms and over exposed beams. Our escape was frantic, fueled by terror and the primal urge to survive. Once outside, we didn't stop running until we had put significant distance between us and the house. We collapsed, breathless and shaken, under the relative safety of a streetlight. "We should never speak of this," Jamie said between gasps, her face pale in the dim light. No one will believe us, and I don't want to relive this. We all agreed, the fear of what we had encountered binding us to silence. The rest of the night passed in a blur. We returned to our homes, to our beds, but sleep eluded me. The images of the night replayed in my mind, a haunting loop of shadows and fear. In the days that followed, the incident became an unspoken pact between us. We avoided the new neighborhood, the unfinished house, and even each other, as if our friendship had been a casualty of that night's terror. But the story doesn't end there. Weeks later, a headline caught my eye. Unfinished house in new neighborhood demolished after worker's unexplained disappearance. The article detailed how a construction worker had vanished without a trace, his belongings found scattered within the house. A cold shiver ran through me as I read, the memories of that night flooding back. The figure, the noises, the oppressive sense of being watched. It all made a horrifying sense now. But the truth of what we experienced, of what dwelled within that house, remained buried, a secret we were all too willing to keep. In the silence of my room, I pondered the mysteries of that night. What had we encountered? Was it the spirit of the missing worker, trapped and angry? Or something older, something tied to the land itself? I realized then that some mysteries are best left unsolved, some houses best left unexplored. The fear, the thrill, the adventure. It had all seemed like a game until we were faced with the reality of the unknown, a reality that haunts me to this day. As I write this, the night outside is quiet, too quiet. And somewhere, in the darkness, I know that the shadows linger, waiting, watching. The unfinished house may be gone, but the memories, the fear, they remain, a permanent fixture in the minds of those who dared to explore.